Matt, this was during the fight for the speakership in the House. Trump was for McCarthy, and Matt said no, and Matt said he didn't care. I think this shows Matt's principled. I have tremendous respect for the work that he's doing. It's about time somebody did it. But to be completely honest, I'll soften a bit of what you said, Dave. You're right. I mean, the machine finds a way. You've got all these snakes, and Matt's trying his best. I posted a picture of Sisyphus when he said, "I'm trying to change DC," and I'm not. And people got mad. They were like, "What's the alternative?" I'm like, I'm not saying he shouldn't do it. I'm glad he's doing it, but he's pushing a boulder uphill, and it is a long way uphill. I'm glad he's doing what he's doing. He's one of the most effective, one of the best politicians we have, if you can even say a politician is good. But he's pushing a boulder uphill.
Well, philosophically, what would you say? I mean, I think if McCarthy was sitting here, he would say, hey, there's this giant swamp, there's this giant system. I mean, I've interviewed him and talked about this. I think he would say you can maybe get some incremental things. Like the machine is the swamp and the deep state, there's so much there, and they can almost never get anything done, right? Like the Democrats are just pure evil, and the Republicans are kind of just a little less evil. So I think McCarthy's argument would be, in essence, it would be, hey, maybe we can do a little something, spend a little bit less, or get a little money moved to the border or something. And I think that's really what he's saying right now. That would be a win. Where basically what you're saying is Gaetz is just he's throwing the Hail Mary, knowing there is no flying F chance that it's going to work. But it is good if you're actually auditioning for another job. Exactly. I would say, by the way, I don't think it's not necessarily just governor. I think he may just want a spot on network TV.
I don't think he wants to be governor. I would imagine that he probably, if there was further future ambitions, Senate makes more sense. Governor brings him to the state, whereas he's in D.C. right now, right? So that's a shift. You wouldn't want to take, right?
Well, if he likes being in Florida, I mean, he is a Florida guy. Like, if he likes being in Florida, why not come home to Florida? I mean, D.C. is an absolute disgusting cesspool of scum and villainy.
I wouldn't immediately say it's just about a job prospect. They're trying to remove him. Mm-hmm. They're threatening to expel Matt Gaetz for what he's doing.
I wonder if this is why Thomas Massey tweeted out, this is like yesterday, I fear, this is the quote tweet from Thomas Massey, I fear the attempting to vacate Speaker McCarthy at this juncture is a bad idea that will lead to worse outcomes for conservatives. Signed, the only still serving co-author and co-sponsor of the motion to vacate, Speaker Boehner. So he went through this before, and apparently thinks it's not because maybe
he
now
back McCarthy anyway?
Thomas Massey?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty sure he did.
But
I think they did at the end, but they did. Him and Chip Roy ended up getting a bunch of concessions that I think now Gaetz is saying, well, you guys aren't actually getting the concessions at him. But to me, Massey is the most libertarian, anti-government guy we have in government. Maybe, Rand Paul's right there too, but in the House. And it's like, if that's what he's saying, there's probably, he knows something behind the scenes.
I wonder if he's afraid of what's happening to Gaetz, that they're going to now turn on Gaetz. And he's like, we don't need inter-party conflict right now because the Democratic Party is trouncing us.
Intra-party.
Intra-party.
Yeah.
Right. You don't need Gaetz getting any friendlier with AOC, which every now and again they kind of dig each other.
Hey, I like it. But I'll appreciate, they were trying to stop insider trading in Congress. Okay, I'll take it. Yeah. We can take our wins where we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, Kevin McCarthy has a backroom deal to get funding for Ukraine? I cannot believe that I'd be willing to bet if you went and just talked to random people on the street, should we spend money on Ukraine? They're going to say no. Mostly. A lot of people will probably say yes, of course. And depending on which city you go to, they're going to have flags everywhere. They'll say yes. But I think a genuine random sampling of 1 million people in this country finds 70, 80, 90% saying no. Why would we do that? But of course, Congress will do it. Why? Because Congress is not beholden to the American people. They're beholden to lobbyists.
Hey, as Mitch McConnell said, the number one job of the Republican Party is to fund the Ukraine war. The war that we're also not in. At some point, do you think if you're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to fund a war, you're in a war?
Yeah.
Would that be a technical way you'd say you're in a war?
Yes, I agree.
Eventually, if you're funding everything, and also, by the way, pushing the guy with nukes a little closer to World War III, which really is what they're doing, right? Like, at the end of the day, you could say Russia's losing and losing and losing, which they're not, by the way, but you could say that. And at the end of the day, when the shit is about to hit the fan, he has nukes. So who really is winning?
And we're talking about his doorstep.
Yeah.
So it's just, they've not given any legitimate reason to us as to why we're involved in Ukraine. They've not even tried to. Now, Kevin McCarthy goes and makes a backroom deal with Democrats, ignoring the Republicans, who he's supposed to be working with, to get funding for Ukraine. Wasn't it, am I wrong about this? They put together a clean bill, but it didn't have Ukraine spending in it. And they're like, no, Democrats were like, we refuse.
I mean, the fact
Amazing.
that the Democrats have become so clearly the war party is just such a perfect example of when I say that the machine always stays ahead. That's how it always stays ahead, because somehow the parties flip in front of your eyes. The liberals become conservatives and the conservatives become liberals. The machine figures out a way to just exist.